10,000 Years. It's great. Have you seen it? It's absolutely fantastic. Welcome to the Movie Club. I'm your host, John Ridley. Every week, our panel of celebrated cinephiles hip you to what's happening at the local multiplexes, as well as giving you the lowdown on the latest DVD releases. Last week, they completely dissed what went on to be the #1 movie in America, Hide and Seek, proving that they're uniquely out of touch with both red and blue states. This week, they look to see if they can make it 2 for 2. Can they get it wrong again? As they look at love and death and dance in these films. It's Hitch, starring Will Smith as a male matchmaker and TV's Kevin James as his hopeless client in this romantic comedy. Imaginary Heroes, starring Sigourney Weaver, Jeff Daniels, and Emile Hirsch, in a story of a family trying to cope with tragedy and loss. And it's Bride and Prejudice. It's Bollywood meets Jane Austen, or East meets West, in this broad cross-cultural musical comedy from the director of Bend It Like Beckham. Plus, we've got DVD reviews of the Oscar-nominated picture Ray and Paulie Shore's new movie, Paulie Shore is Dead. Gosh, I love saying that. Does anybody else besides me love that? Joining us to review these films are our Movie Club regulars. It's Zoriana Kitt, the entertainment news reporter for KTLA right here in Los Angeles, and she gave me hand sanitizer. Nathan Rabin, he's the head entertainment writer for the Onion AV Club, joining us all the way from Chicago. Anderson Jones, who reviews movies for CNN Headline News, getting his usual kiss.
She gave me a cold.
Joining us also is Dr. Josh Kuhn. He is a reviewer for the San Francisco Bay Guardian. Zoriana,
it's a pleasure.
You're up first. You saw this new film, Hitch, starring Will Smith. This is directed by Andy Tennant, who actually has a distinction of directing an episode of the shortest-lived TV show in the history of television, South of Sunset, canceled after only 1 airing, but also went on to do some other movies. He did...
the Olsen twins, It Takes Two.
It Takes Two.
Remember
he did that, but
one?
he also had Sweet Home Alabama, which did very, very well. So this guy does have some chops. Now he's back with a big romantic comedy starring Will Smith. How was it?
Actually, it was not too shabby, depending on if you look at plot 1 or plot 2. The film stars Will Smith as Christopher Hitchens, hence Hitch, who's a professional matchmaker who helps men woo the women of their dreams. So the plot splits 2 ways here. The first one has Hitch spending time with a client named Albert, played by television star Kevin James, where he teaches Albert the do's and don'ts on landing hot celebrity Allegra Cole, played by Amber Valletta. Take a look.
Reason I'm calling is about our appointment this Wednesday. Not gonna be able to make it.
Oh, well, when can you make it?
I don't even know, because my whole next week is slammed. All right, but it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. Uh-huh. No, we're gonna make it happen, though, that's for sure. We're gonna make it happen. Yes.
All right, the second plotline has Hitch doing his own wooing when he falls for hard-to-get gossip columnist Sarah, played by Eva Mendes.
I mean, you're sending all the right signals. No earrings, heels under 2 inches, your hair is pulled back, you're wearing reading glasses with no book, drinking a Grey Goose martini, which means you had a hell of a week and a beer just wouldn't do it. Who's gonna believe that there's a man out there that could sit down beside a woman he doesn't know and genuinely be interested in who she is, what she does, without his own agenda?
Yeah, I wouldn't even know what that would look like. So what would a guy like that say?
Well, he'd say, my name is Alex Hitchens and I'm a consultant. But she wouldn't be interested in that because she'd probably be just counting the seconds until he left.
Thinking he was like every other guy.
Which life experiences taught her is a virtual certainty. But then he'd ask her name and what she did for a living. And she might blow him off. Or she might say,
I'm Sarah Milas.
You know, I say scrap the lame love story between Hitch and Sarah. The filmmaker should have just kept it a buddy comedy between Will Smith and Kevin James. The chemistry between these two is amazing. I haven't seen 2 comedic actors feed off each other like this on the big screen in a long time. And Kevin literally steals the move and I think could really become a big screen star. And the complete opposite can be said about Eva Mendes. She has no sense of comic timing here. Amber Valletta, a supermodel who's had little bit parts here and there, does way better here. Actually, is surprisingly good. Kind of reminds me of an early Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, we're hearing some grunts from the other side of the room.
What's the problem here?
I'm not disagreeing with you more. I can't believe you're saying, you know, that Kevin James and Amber Valletta, who, you know, is a mannequin in this movie, have more magnetism than Eva Mendes, who I thought was unbelievably hot. She made me feel funny. Like when I used to climb the rope in gym class.
I didn't watch this movie with hand hand cream and a tube sock.
Wow, what a line! Did you write that yourself? That is a good line. No, wait a
And
second.
how do you know how I watch this movie?
Now, wait a second.
People
Okay.
trailing me?
All right, let's talk about it. You know, as a buddy comedy this week, just talk about romantic comedy. You know, part of my problem with romantic comedies, at least modern ones, is that you know where they're going. I love when Woody Allen does it because you don't know where it's going to end, or at least earlier Woody Allen.
But I think
is the
that's-
problem
yeah.
just with doing a romantic comedy?
But that's why I think you go to romantic comedies. I mean, there are things that you expect in a romantic comedy. It's a date movie.
Right.
There are things that you want out of it. What I think is interesting about this movie is that Will Smith is kind of in the straight man role.
Yeah.
He's not really going for the jokes. Kevin James does it, who I think does it really, really well. As you said, I think it's
Last
true.
week I think last week we were talking about this whole idea of the everyman, and we were kind of debating about whether or not black actors can be everymen. And this movie really pushes Will Smith one step closer.
I don't see that at all. I see him as kind of this ideal. It's kind of the Cary Grant role where he just sort of oozes sort of
so
appeal and charm.
But I think the movie pushes Will Smith to the side, and it's Kevin James who really shines.
I don't think
here.
so at all.
Well,
He's
you know,
a
listen,
TV star on
hey,
the big
hey,
screen.
Will
on the
Smith
TV
used to
screen.
be a
he
TV
was,
star
but
too.
he is able to make the leap because he has that kind of magnetism.
Well, do me a favor. Do this. Let's just bottom line this movie. Give me a 4-star rating.
Well,
4 being the best, of
In
course.
spite of my better instincts, this movie seduced and then abandoned and then turned me out like a $2 prostitute.
And then you threw
3
away
stars.
and then you threw away your tube sock.
I did indeed.
Unbelievable. You like this movie. I never
I-
would have expected it from you. How about you,
know what
Josh?
it
Liked
feels
it? Yes? No?
Though it's hard to do, it was better than iRobot, which is shocking. I give it 2 stars.
That's the hyperbole of the week. That's going to be in the ad in the
Well,
LA
that was
Times.
pretty hot.
Zoriana.
Well, Will Smith and Kevin James each get a star, so 2.
and nothing for Ava Mendes? No stars? Nothing?
Sorry, girl.
Anderson.
Josh, anything's better than iRobot.
That was my joke.
Here's the thing. I think that The Fresh Prince is getting a little bit stale, and I'm going to give it 2 stars.
2 stars. All right. Well, okay. For the movie club, for you guys, it sounds like pretty much a 2-star average for Hitch. Now, Nathan, you're up next. You reviewed a new movie. This is called Imaginary Heroes. This was written and directed by a young guy named Dan Harris. He was a co-writer on X-Men 2. He's writing the new Superman movie, also Logan's Run. I mean, he's got a hot streak as a writer, first time behind the camera. How does he do?
He does a good job.
All right.
Yeah, his parents should be proud. Well, you know, the seedy underbelly of suburban life gets exposed yet again in Imaginary Heroes. This is an endearingly twisted comedy drama. It begins with the suicide of a championship swimmer, and then gets a whole lot darker after that. Now, each member of the boy's family sort of copes with his death in their own kind of uniquely dysfunctional way. Dad, Jeff Daniels, for example, spends a lot of time staring mopily into space. Brother, Emil Hirsch, gets into all sorts of troubles. He's quite the rapscallion. And Mom, Sigourney Weaver, kind of becomes a late-blooming stoner, at least she tries to be. Check it out.
Hi, I'm looking for the good stuff.
The good stuff?
Yeah, you know. The, real stuff.
Oh, the real stuff. Like what?
Marijuana.
You want to buy marijuana?
Hey, I grew up in the 60s. I can handle it. I'm no snitch.
If only it were that easy. Here, Hirsch and sister Michelle Williams, who's away for college for most of the film, lucky girl, engage in a little stoned philosophizing.
Is there such a thing as a human heart? Though that is the better question.
Well, if you listen closely, you can hear them breaking.
You know, movies like this that kind of combine sort of dark comedy and sort of psychological drama, they always get compared to American Beauty. I think this is a lot less sort of crowd-pleasing. You know, it has a lot of funny, dark moments, but it also kind of takes loss and grief seriously. You know, it doesn't really sugarcoat or provide any, you know, easy answers. It's all over the place tonally, but I think that's one of the reasons why it rings so true to life. You know, I think ultimately it's just as kind of messy and jagged and weird and unpredictable as life itself, and I liked it. I liked it a whole lot.
Yeah, you know, you bring up American Beauty. That was a DreamWorks film, and they're, you know, a major studio. This is Sony Pictures Classic independent studio. Great thing about it, you can go into some dark material, but also in terms of the actors, you get to see Sigourney Weaver, Jeff Daniels, good actors who don't normally.
Well, in terms of studio speak, they're a little past their prime,
Right.
so thank goodness for independent films like this, because we really get a chance to see them shine, and it reminds us what brilliant actors they really
She's
are.
fantastic in this film. I mean,
Wouldn't you love to have her as your mother, by the way?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I want
totally
her
would.
on my team, you know, going to bat for me.
But I have a
for
question.
sure.
What did Swimmers do to Hollywood? I feel like every movie that we've seen lately is like,
And why always review all the swim? Like, I know I won the bronze in the backstroke in '96, but I totally don't want to get pigeonholed as a guy who only reviews
I
swimming
do want
movies.
to do the flip side of Jeff and Sigourney. Emil Hirsch, we have to talk about him. You know, he's a real gem. I mean, he's been a child star in a bunch of Hollywood films like
And
Emperor's Club, but
now he gets to step up
really
again because of an
grown up a
independent
lot.
film.
Yeah,
And the other good
it sort
thing,
of
you know,
reminds
listen,
me of kind of like a scrunched down Leonardo DiCaprio. Kind of has that sullen magnetism.
isn't Leonardo DiCaprio a scrunch down Leonardo
Yeah,
DiCaprio?
well, no, he's like
Anderson,
6'3".
bottom line this for me. Give me your star rating.
I think this is an auspicious debut for a solo guy, for solo work for Dan Harrison. You know, I'm just jealous because he's a friend of mine, and I give it 3 stars.
3 stars, great. Zoriana.
I think 3 stars too. I'm going to agree with Anderson. It's a
Nicely done.
pretty impressive character study on these broken and dysfunctional people.
Very good, thank you. Josh.
I just thought it was just like wonderfully dark and twisted, kind of like ordinary people, as long as you add pot, ecstasy, and a little boy-on-boy kissing. So
All
how
the
can
good
you go
stuff
wrong?
in
3
life,
stars.
right? And Nathan.
Yeah, I thought it was very flawed, but very compelling. Though I thought having Sigourney Weaver fight aliens in the last scene, kind of a cheap ploy for box office.
You got to do
3
something to get the
stars.
numbers up, right? All right, so that's about a 3-star average for Imaginary Heroes from the Movie Club. Coming up, it's Bollywood meets Greece with the musical extravaganza Bride and Prejudice. We haven't seen anything like this since, I don't know, 10,000 years. I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to. I'm not even going to talk about 10,000 years. I'm not saying anything about my play. Hey, welcome back to the Movie Club. I'm John Ridley, your host. Anderson, if I ask you which nation on the planet produces the most movies every year, what would you say?
I'm going to go with India for 600, John.
India is correct. You're our new champion. And we've got a new movie from India and also from the director, Gurinder Shanna, who directed Bend It Like Beckham. She is back with Bride and Prejudice.
Right, and Bollywood comes to Hollywood, which they've been predicting for some time. First, John, I have to give you a disclaimer. I mean, obviously, when you go into a musical, you have to suspend some disbelief. When people are walking down the street and they break into song and dance, you know you're sort of in a fantasy world.
Or West Hollywood.
True. But when drag queens in wigs and saris, and I happen to own one, by the way, start singing and dancing like they do in Bride and Prejudice, well, we're not in Chicago anymore. No, that's Bollywood.
Yes.
Bride and Prejudice stars
Aishwarya Rai.
Thank you. I couldn't do it. And The Rings, Martin Henderson. And it gets inspiration from the Jane Austen I Need a Husband Right Now novel, Pride and Prejudice. In the hands of director Gurinder Shanna, it's Greece meets, well, something. You're going to have to tell me.
Greece, too.
Here's how Bollywood does Summer Nights.
Okay.
What's happening now? This is great. This is where the girls tease the boys and the boys tease the girls.
About to transform into the Indian MC Hammer. These girls are like naked live wires. If you get too close, you'll get an electric shock of love.
In this next thing, you'll understand why Lalita, played by
Aishwarya Rai,
thank you, runs into the arms of the richy rich American and away from the scary Indian stereotype guy.
You know, the Indian community there is very professional. All doctors and computers and not like these uneducated minicap 7-Eleven store types. It's ours for the taking. Anyone can become an American.
Then why come back here?
There's only one problem with America. Our girls that are born there, they've totally lost their roots. Completely clueless. They're all too outspoken and career-orientated. And some have even turned into the lesbian. So that leaves me no choice. I may be healthy, wealthy, and wise, but as they say, no life without wife.
No Life, no wife. That's my motto too. So, apparently they don't have PC in India. Look, it's no surprise to tell you guys that I love musicals.
Shut your mouth.
And I love that movie musicals are having a resurgence. Dreamgirls, you can't get her fast. But the gospel choir on Venice Beach was even too much for me. I caught Bend It Like Beckham at Sundance in between collecting gobs of free stuff. I had a little free time in my schedule. And it was, in fact, a revelation. Bride and Prejudice? Not so much. I think the mark of a good musical, from Oklahoma to West Side Story, is when you leave the theater like humming memorable tunes that kind of stick in your head for days. But there were no memories for me at all after this one.
And this one, I think, this film is really big in England. It's been out for a while. It's new here in the States, but it's big in England. It's been big in India. Are we just kind of way behind on the Bollywood curve, or is this one not quite up to snuff?
It's definitely not up to snuff.
Yeah.
I mean, this feels like a really dumbed down, tacky, garish version of something not terribly cerebral to begin with. I hated this film, but I think that might just be because I have a bias against films that are total crap.
But Nathan, Bollywood films are supposed to be garish. I mean, they kind of celebrate garishness. I mean, that's the whole point of them. And these, over-the-top musical numbers. You can't really show sex scenes or kissing, so it all gets, put into the musical numbers. And this film has some incredible musical numbers,
but that wasn't the problem
Bhangra
with this
stuff
film.
and Punjabi breaks.
That wasn't the
great
problem.
stuff.
I think the two leads, Aishwarya and Martin Henderson, had no chemistry. You didn't want them to be together. You didn't root for them.
Yeah, what cemetery did
Exactly.
they dig this Martin Henderson guy about?
Okay, let's ask one other question, because you brought up an interesting point about being sort of stereotypical.
Sure.
Now, Bend It Like Beckham, a really interesting story of a young Sikh girl trying to, do something with herself.
Right.
Is this film? Is this just kind of? Is this a bad stereotype and playing on the stereotypes
what I think
of Indians?
What I think Nathan is sort of highlighting is sort of this like lack of cultural understanding of other places. When you're making as many movies as they make in Bollywood, it's about entertainment and frivolity and going. I mean, have you been to India? I mean, these people need a break, and that's what Bollywood movies represent.
This is a movie I think we need to talk a little bit more on the website about, because I think there's some interesting discussions to get into that. So right now, let's just bottom line this one, get the star rating. Nathan, we're starting with you.
Yeah, well, who knew that when you cross Jane Austen and Bollywood, you come up with like a really bad sitcom with like the worst music this side of Greece too. 1 star, and that's being generous.
Okay.
And multicultural as well.
I totally disagree. But I think for me, if you just kind of have to bracket the really conservative marriage plot, and other than that, it's a lot of fun. I give it 2.5 stars.
2.5 stars.
Couldn't disagree with you more. 1 star simply for the lack of chemistry.
Agree, disagree, and Anderson, you get to be a tiebreaker here.
Like Josh, I was dancing in the aisles. And by the way,
it had nothing to do with the movie, though, right?
The guy in the first scene who we saw is actually
and that was during Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah.
And how many stars?
2.5.
2.5 stars. All right, well, this is definitely a mix-up. I can't wait to talk about this on the website. But basically, this is about a 2-star rating for the Movie Club for Bride and Prejudice. All right, now listen, stick around. Coming up next, we've got comedian Regan Burns is joining us, and he's got his DVD review of Paulie Shore is Dead. I'll never get tired of saying that. And also, we got a DVD review of the Oscar-nominated film Ray. So join us. Don't go too far away.
We're about 2,000 years.
Oh, that play is so powerful. Welcome back to the Movie Club. I'm your host, John Ridley, and we are here with comedian Regan Burns. He's got a new DVD that he's reviewing this week. Paulie Shore is Dead. I'm sorry you have to do this review because I never get tired of actually saying the title. Please tell us about it, Regan.
John, first off, can you please have Anderson stop undressing me with his eyes?
I can't stop it, Regan.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you I had a movie that starred Sean Penn, Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Tom Sizemore, Charlie Sheen, Michael Madsen, Ellen DeGeneres, Rico Suave, and Mini-Me? Would you want to see it?
I want to see it.
Well, what if I told you it was written, produced, and directed by, and starred Paulie Shore?
I got to go. I'll see you next week, everybody.
Yeah, okie dokie. Well, with the creation of Paulie Shore is Dead, Mr. Shore, a.k.a. the Wizabody, has done the impossible. He's made fun of all his horrible movies from the 80s and 90s by making a what? Another horrible movie.
Yeah.
See, the story centers on the rise and fall of comedian Paulie Shore, who has found himself in tough times after a failed Fox sitcom. He's lost everything and the phone has stopped ringing. And now here, for the very first time, caught on film, really cheap quality videotape, 2 of the most powerful performers of our generation share the big screen for the first time in motion picture history. I dare you to try to look away.
Okay.
What are you still doing here?
I was just getting ready to leave.
Well, not until you clean the up. Hey, sweetie. How are you?
Trevorina?
Oh, hi, Paulie.
When do we add the 2 new floors to the house?
You're adding 2 new floors?
Yeah, 2 whole new floors.
Got a lot of trunks. Hey, listen, sorry about the sitcom, okay? I just got myself one. 22 on the air.
Congratulations.
Yeah, 22.
Anyway, listen, actually, Mitch is the one to congratulate. He's my new manager, and he's the one that got me the part. Listen, why don't you run along to Mommy's club, okay? All right, guys, let's go.
It's Carrot Top! It kind of reminds you of the power that De Niro and Pacino had facing off in Heat, doesn't it?
No.
Now, I admire Paulie's attempt at the self-deprecating humor and for being thick-skinned enough to poke a little fun at his career. But after 80 minutes of the same shtick, Paulie, we get the joke. Biodome sucked. Hey, don't get me wrong, Paulie. When they have an open call for jury duty, too, I'm right there ready to do my best Gopher impersonation. But till then, leave the writing and producing to Mr. Ridley.
Oh, God.
Is that enough of a suck-up, John?
Oh, it was beautiful. Not since you were in my trailer earlier.
I'm gonna go take a bath on that now.
Oh, thank you, Regan. That was absolutely fantastic. All right, we got another DVD review, hopefully a little bit better one. This one is Ray.
Yes, a film no one's heard of.
Yes, another film that no one's heard of.
Yeah, it's now out on DVD very quickly. And what's really interesting, I think, is since it's come out in late October, is that Ray has really gone from being Taylor Hackford's biopic about R&B singer Ray Charles to being the Jamie Foxx film about that singer. You know, and you really get that in the DVD, even more so because you really can refocus and realize on on how much this film is about Jamie Foxx. I mean, it's not, the film for me isn't so much there. So it's solid, meticulous, but a little stock, and this is all about Jamie Foxx. The DVD, though, does come with a lot of extra features, which people who saw the original theater version are going to probably really like, but I don't think you need all this extra stuff half the time. You get 14 extra scenes. You know, the film's already 2.5 hours. But you do get the first time ever that Ray Charles and Jamie Foxx meet and play piano together, and it's incredibly interesting to watch them interact, though it does really pull the curtain back on the one trick that gives the film its power. It makes you remember the real Ray Charles when the power of Ray is that you're focusing on, you know, how much Jamie Foxx becomes Ray Charles, and it takes you out of it a little bit. That said, I think if you loved it in the theaters, you're going to love it even more on DVD.
When you watch it at home, and you got that 14 extra scenes.
You know?
Wow. Okay, so let's recap the major movies that we reviewed this week on the Movie Club. Our Movie Club members thought that Hitch was a double, but definitely no home run, and gave it 2 stars. The club thought that Imaginary Heroes was an absorbing portrait of a dysfunctional family and gave it 3 stars. They were split on Bride and Prejudice, as Nathan and Zoriana didn't feel that the chemistry worked, but Anderson and Josh enjoyed the Bollywood craziness, gave it a Movie Club average of 2 stars. And that's our show for this week. Join us again next week when we will devote the entire program, a whole 22 minutes. We'll look at the actors, filmmakers, and movies that Oscar, that rascal, forgot, overlooked, or just plain ignored, like Zoriana. Hey, for more Movie Club info, please log on our website at amctv.com. That's it for this week. We'll catch you at the multiplex. When I say ignored, I don't mean in a bad way. People should pay more attention to you. They should throw cameras on you all the time.